Start with the webinar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Anna Spiessens and I will be moderating the webinar today. I'm part of the ECOP training and mentoring task team. For those recently becoming familiar with the Early Career Ocean Professionals Network, this is a program that was endorsed by the United Nations Ocean Decade in 2021. And our mission is to strengthen perspectives of new generations of ocean professionals, ensuring that knowledge is transferred between experienced and early career ocean professionals. And as part of this knowledge sharing, we developed a series of webinars, and today is a 21st episode dedicated to capacity development opportunities for ECOPs with POGO, the Partnership for Observation of the Global Ocean, and SCOR, the Scientific Committee on Oceanic Research. Today, our speakers will present on these two leading organizations advancing international collaboration in ocean science and observations. And our speakers for today are Lika or Lilian Krug, Emily Twigg, and Kai Deng. Thank you so much for being here today. I would like to remind the audience that you can write questions or comments in the Q&A or in the chat. Yeah, and then I'll start with introducing the first speaker. Lika, she's an oceanographer specialized in ocean observations, and she's also the scientific coordinator for POGO. In this role, she supports research and monitoring across their international network. She oversees training programs for ECOPs with an emphasis on developing regions, and her commitment is to advance climate research and sustainable ocean management through strengthening global ocean science capacity. Before we continue, I would like to break the ice with a first small poll to get to know our participants. So, Natalia, if you could share the poll with the audience, that would be great.
There you go.
Thank you.
We're going to have around 2 minutes for you to respond to the first poll. And we can see the polls are moving right now. We have one minute left.
I already see that many people have attended one of the POGO capacity development programs, seeing the numbers change.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the last 20 seconds.
I can't see the results, so you have to tell me later.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I think, Natalie, you will share the results in a few seconds.
Yes. Right now, I'm ending the poll and share the results.
There you go.
So we have 78% people responded, yes, you're an ECOP. Yay. We have a lot of ECOPs over here. Where are you joining us from? So 29% are from Europe, 18% from South America. We also have 24% from Asia. That's so cool. We're reaching more people around the world. Have you heard about POGO capacity development programs and training? Well, 55% said yes. And We need to reach more people. I've heard a little and I would like to learn more about it. So this is the great opportunity for you to learn more about POGO. Have you applied to any POGO capacity development programs and training? 62% said no, but I would love to. Of course. And that's why we are here. Have you ever attended to one of the POGO capacity development programs and training? 70% said no. So here is the opportunity for you to know how to apply and how to participate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. And with these insights, we can start with our first speaker. So Lika, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's try this. There you go. How does it look?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. Thanks to the ECOP program, Evgenia, and the training and mentoring team here, Anna and Natalia. And I'm really happy to be talking to ECOPs from all over the world. I can see here. It's very nice to meet you. As Natalia and Anna introduced, my name is Lilian, but everybody calls me Lika. I am the scientific coordinator for POGO, which is short for the Partnership for Observation of the Global Ocean. And POGO is an international organization dedicated to advancing a truly global, sustainable, integrated ocean observing system that will serve science and society. And to do so, we are dedicated to several different activities. And today I'll be focusing on our capacity development pillar, more specifically into our training programs. But if I have a little bit of time, I will give you a brief overview on other activities of POGO. So next slide. Okay, there you go. So I cannot talk about training in ocean observation and why it's important without explaining the main reason why we need it. And all it starts with our big blue one ocean, which is the main feature of our planet. I don't think I need to extend too much to this audience of early career ocean professionals, the importance. But besides covering most of our surface, of our planet's surface, and providing oxygen and regulating our climate, the ocean supports an astonishing array of life, and it's strongly connected to human well-being, either by providing food and other resources, protection, material, but also cultural and recreational services. So although the ocean provides us with all these resources and so much, we are not very kind in retributing. The numbers from the Ocean Climate Portal here show the impact of human actions in ocean's temperature, acidity, and sea level. But besides these, we are overexploiting resources, and we are having a major biodiversity loss along with it. And for us to try to overturn these and minimize these impacts, protecting the ocean and associated ecosystems, the first thing we have to do is to try to understand how the ocean works. And so observing the ocean is critical so we can understand its natural cycles, try to differentiate from anomalies, and monitoring the environment and life within. Ultimately trying to qualify and quantify the impacts and predicting the future changes. So, but most important of all is the only way we can provide scientific based evidence so decision makers can implement targeted actions to either mitigate, protect, adapt, or restore the marine resources. And so to properly observe the ocean, we need an integrated ocean, an observing system. And however, there's a vast multitude of both temporal and spatial scales that the ocean processes occur. So this is a massive challenge. And with advancements in technology, we have a variety of instruments and platforms forming the GOOS, or the Global Ocean Observing Systems, that collect this data in a reliable, near real-time manner, the so-called essential ocean biodiversity and climate variables. So technologically, our capacity of observing the ocean has much improved over the years, but there's still a lot to do. And so these gaps in ocean observing are either thematic, spatial, or in capacity. And for instance, our capacity of observing the physical components of the ocean is far superior than our capacity to monitoring the biological aspects. In addition, we also need to urgently increase our capacity of tracking and forecasting extreme events. And in terms of spatial coverage, we need to increase coverage in specific regions such as the polar region, islands, low-income nation coastal areas, priority coastal systems, and the southern hemisphere in general, which comprehends 2/3 of the ocean surface, but still is much less observed and described than the northern hemisphere. And in terms of capacity development, there are needs in many fronts, including facilities and equipment, and funds, obviously. But the number one requirement in the Global Ocean Science Report from 2020 lies on human capacity. And with that, we mean that we need a skilled and trained workforce that know how to acquire, analyze, and use ocean observations. So to meet these demands, we need to train a lot of people in a broad range of skills. And organizations like POGO and SCOR here, we work individual or collectively to, repair this lack of capacity by providing training, networking, and technology transfer opportunities, particularly for early career scientists and institutions in developing countries. And this is because we need that these nations can build their own self-sustaining ocean science and observational communities. So in terms of training, there are a few modalities that ECOPs can pursue so they can equip themselves with scientific and technical skills. And in this presentation, I will talk about POGO training programs. And Emily and Kai will show us the amazing opportunities that SCOR provides us. But there are many more opportunities out there, and we encourage you to pursue them. So, okay, one of the main modality of trainings that POGO provides is dedicated to ECOPs visiting advanced oceanographic institutions. So these trainings are intended to provide extended exposure to trainers in world's leading oceanographic institutions. And the first one is one that POGO and SCOR worked together for a long time, is the POGO SCOR Fellowship Program, which began in 2001 and has provided training to 200 early career researchers from developing countries. This program aims to offer hands-on experience in ocean observations, either in field and/or laboratories, but most importantly is the close interaction with an expert of the trainee's choice. And by the way, the call for applications for this year's POGO SCOR is open. It's currently open until the 27th of April, so it's very close now. We may extend it for another week, but we don't know yet. So the proposed training can be either 1 or 2 or 3 months of duration and has to be taken any time between September 25 and March 26. And to learn more about this program, you can visit the training page at the POGO website. I shared the link with our colleagues from ECOP program, so they will probably place on the chat. And you can also check this publication that I have here. The QR code directs you to the page of the publication, where we talk about the impacts of the program in the alumnus career. All right, so the next one is the Nippon Foundation POGO Center of Excellence. This training started in 2008, And every year we receive 10 students from 10 different countries for an immerse training in observational oceanography for, you guessed, 10 months. So the scholars take different modules and dedicate time to individual projects as well, under supervision of experts. Currently, this program is being hosted by a consortium of Canadian institutions in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and British Columbia. And the scholars spend some time in each of these institutions. So the call for applications for the Center of Excellence usually opens at the end of the year, and the program starts in October of the following year. It takes some time to process. It's a lot of applications and the visa arrangements, so it takes some time. By the way, applications from ECOPs from any country are welcome to the Center of Excellence, and we encourage particularly representatives of indigenous communities to apply. So if you want to know more about the Center of Excellence, you can also check the POGO website link provided in the chat, or our recently published paper, which actually this was a paper on the impacts of the training from the perspective of the alumni, which I am one, by the way. All right, and then the next modality of training provided by POGO are the regional trainings. So rather than taking the trainees to advanced oceanographic institutions in developed nations, in this modality, we take the experts to the countries to conduct training between 1 week and 3 months in a developing country. So these are more cost-benefit trainings because we can reach a higher number of trainees with the same amount of money. But more importantly, the trainings are suited for the conditions and resources of the local, and they are emphasizing the actual issues that belong to that community. So in this case, we have some regional trainings. In 2023 were the last ones from NF POGO in Bangladesh and in Togo. Each one of them received about 30 trainees from the region to 2 weeks training modules. But POGO also sponsored training initiatives by its members, kind of in the same format. And then the last modality of trainings provided by POGO are the shipboard trainings. So in this case, we provide early careers with skills needed to organize and run oceanographic cruises. So we have 2 types of shipboard training. The ECOPs can join, regular scientific cruises where they fill spare berths in that cruise and help the chief scientists or other researchers on board on their activities. And on the other hand, they receive one-on-one training from the host. In this case, they have also the opportunity to stay in the host institution for a period before the cruise and another period after the cruise. And this way they can learn how to prepare yourself and the material for a research cruise, and also how to process and analyze samples after the cruise. And POGO also supports training dedicated cruises that happen in empty legs of expeditions. So in this case, we take large groups of early careers, so usually between 25 and 30 trainees that spend up to 4 weeks receiving hands-on training, like in a floating summer school. So in the case of the NOSOAT, the North-South Atlantic Training Transit, they rotate between 5 different modules. So they spend about 5 days in each of those modules, learning climate and ocean interaction or oceanographic components, and even taking part in actually the sample. Again, there is a publication about this in the oceanography special issue, but we also have links in the POGO website. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, like I mentioned before, but where can you find it? And I strongly recommend the NANO, which is our alumni network website. So we have a link where we have a website where we keep a page exactly for opportunities where we announce on daily basis, we share opportunities, either job positions or conferences or graduate school programs, fellowships, etc. The ECOP program started their own opportunities page, which is pretty good as well. The IOC Ocean Capacity Development Hub also have a very well organized page where ECOPs can find opportunities, and the marine training website that also promote opportunities, and of course, good old Google. So do I have more time, my dear hosts?
I think we're running time, but if you can go through quickly.
Okay, so I will just concentrate on the next two slides and then I pass it on. So POGO trainings started in 2001, and until now, after 25 years, we have provided training to nearly 1,500 scientists, majority from developing nations, but in total from 99 countries. Much of them are now directors and head of departments in their home countries, and even, high-level ministry. So these trainings prove to be of benefit to countries and institutions, improving the quality of research and passing knowledge to new generations. And for those that attended the NF POGO Capacity Development Program, after the conclusion of the training, they are invited to join our alumni network, NANO, where we try to extend the benefits that they have during the training. So this means that there are opportunities for networking, even attending. So usually POGO does a lot of high-level events, such as the climate and the biodiversity COPs, or the UN ocean conferences. And every time we can, we bring some NANO members with us so they can experience or even share their perspectives on these events. Then NANO also have some joint research projects, especially I call attention to the NanoDope project, where we sustain a network of 34 essential ocean variable monitoring stations in coast of 18 developing countries. So each of these stations are managed by our members who are early career researchers from these countries. And we also do a little bit of work in outreach and citizen science. We have our own nano webinar series that are usually held on Fridays and posted later on YouTube. And the last one was with Eugenia, the ECOP coordinator program. So I highly recommend you to watch the recording. Yeah, so if I don't have time, maybe I should go very quickly. So POGO is comprises 51 members from 30, oh my God, I forgot the number now. 32 countries, I dare to say. So all major oceanographic institutes from around the world are presenting NANO in POGO. And our mission, it's, goes beyond training the early careers, but to expand, like I mentioned, and sustain the global ocean observing system. So we also prioritize emerging methods and technologies and local solutions. Oh, that means innovation in ocean observing. And also we work a lot on try to have a more ocean literate society by doing a lot of outreach and advocacy. I forgot to mention, but POGO is an implementing partner of the decade. So we dedicate a lot of our activities for this program. I'm gonna skip this for time. I'm really worried that I'm passing it, but let me know if you have more, if you need more information. Thank you so much for your time. Here are some more links. Follow us in social media and contact me on email if you need anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lika, for this wonderful presentation about POGO and all the trainings that you offer. Natalia has sent all the links in the chat to the POGO homepage and the training programs. I think at this point we don't have time for questions, but we can come back to them at the end of the webinar. So we will move to the second speaker, Emily Twigg. Emily is the executive director of SCOR, and she oversees working groups, projects, and capacity development programs. She also coordinates inputs from the executive committee, the capacity development committee, and national committees. And she's experienced in program management, holding roles at the US National Academy of Sciences, the National Science Foundation, and the Environmental Protection Agency. Okay, Emily, the floor is yours.
Thanks everyone for having me. I think Malika might have to stop sharing first, or one of the organizers.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening. My Zoom completely disappeared, and I don't know how I stopped, because here for me it says for me to start sharing. So I'm gonna try again and then stop sharing. Is it working? I
No,
really don't know what's
but
up. So I'm gonna leave and return, okay? Sorry, apologies for this. I'll
Yeah,
be back
no
in a moment.
worries. Sorry, Emily, I thought it was your screen already.
It's okay. All right, I'll get mine up now. Okay, great. Yes, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everyone who joined. I'm going to talk about SCOR's both science activities as well as capacity development programs, because both offer opportunities for ECOPs to be involved and to develop their career better. And also as context, across our activities, SCOR uses the definition of early career scientists as being students or professionals 10 years or less since their degree, not including time off for leave within that time frame. Some of our projects might have narrow definitions if they choose, or based on the requirements of their co-sponsors, though. So SCOR has a unique role in the ocean science community in being the source of support for international coordination. That coordination is needed to advance ocean science, and it also includes expanding capacity and involvement of a growing number of scientists and countries in this research. And Lika gave a very good overview of how critical it is that we build our capacity in addressing scientific questions about the ocean, especially forecasting future changes. So that was great context for her to let me skip. SCOR is not funding research activities. SCOR's activities are meant to add value to the research being conducted and funded by research agencies by bringing expertise and knowledge together from around the world to coordinate or prioritize research agendas, and, as I said, increase the number of scientists that are involved. So important to SCOR are that projects are global and also multidisciplinary. When SCOR was founded, it was in fact meant to fill a gap in the ability for an interdisciplinary group of scientists to come together for research on the ocean. So SCOR has working groups that are often focused on solving methodological problems and providing recommendations to the community to address them. And SCOR's work develops capacity, as I said, both through specific programs that I will discuss, as well as through inclusion in working groups and projects of early career scientists and developing country scientists. SCOR is a non-governmental and non-profit organization. It was initiated by what is now known as the International Science Council and remains an affiliated body of the International Science Council. And its funding comes from its member committees, as well as grants for specific activities. So SCOR currently maintains 32 member countries, but I should say that participation in SCOR's activities is not limited to scientists from countries with national committees. There is a great benefit to awareness of SCOR's opportunities and, inclusion in the network of SCOR's other member nations by being a member. So it's always great to discuss the opportunity for forming a new national committee, but it's not a requirement for individual scientists looking to be involved. Just briefly, the people who compose SCOR are the Executive Committee, the Capacity Development Committee, and the Secretariat. And the Secretariat is based in the United States at the College of Earth, Ocean, Environment at the University of Delaware. The Executive Committee is composed of nominees from our members. We have ex officio positions from our affiliated partners. But what I really wanted to point out as a lead into the next presentation is that we have a co-opted position on our Executive Committee of a early career scientist member. So there's an application process for that position, and Kai Deng, who will give the next presentation, is the fourth person to hold that position now. And we have a capacity development committee that specifically advises SCOR on our capacity development programs, and a few members of that committee as well are early career scientists. So this is the landscape of SCOR's activities. The first one in the upper left is our working groups, and I'll show which working groups we have on the next slide. We currently have 13, but we have now in SCOR's full history since 1957 supported up now 172 working groups. Of course, most have concluded other than the 13 active ones. We also have some larger scale projects that are kind of longer term, and they're roughly categorized by some of them overseeing kind of research being conducted at the national level, while the other 5 are focused more on infrastructure, so supports to research, such as developing training or overseeing model development or observations or data. A few of SCOR's projects have early career scientist committees. So GeoTraces, which is a project on trace elements and isotopes in the ocean. IMBER, which is the Integrated Marine Biosphere Research Program. SOLAS, the Surface Ocean Lower Atmosphere Study, and IAOE2, the Second International Indian Ocean Expedition, all have early career scientist committees. And additionally, COBS, Changing Ocean Biological Systems, has a national network that they have put together to disseminate training materials globally, and they have composed it of early career scientists. The roles of early career scientist committees do vary project by project, and most of them are actually relatively new and still exploring their full potential. There's also a challenge in, funding them. There's not often a lot of funding, but often at least the chairs can attend the steering committee meetings. So it is a growing way of early career scientists to be involved. Okay, so these are SCOR's working groups. We currently have 13, and they span a range of topics. I should say that SCOR does not impose any particular ocean science priority on the community. If it's in the realm of ocean science, then we accept proposals from the community to put together a working group. The 13 working groups are short duration activities. They last about 3 to 4 years. They are focused on kind of specific topics. They might synthesize data sets, conduct intercomparisons, recommend best practices, or other activities that could advance the field in a certain area. And they all have capacity development components as well. It's required as part of the proposal process that they describe their capacity building intentions. And that is twofold, both in the fact that they are meant to increase the capabilities of the community, but also to have specific activities related to early career scientists and developing country scientists. So those receive funding from SCOR for, as I said, about 3 to 4 years, with $45,000 over their lifetime for their meetings. And they usually have 10 core members, the full members, and 10 associated members with supporting roles for the working group. They all must be diverse in their membership and include early career scientists, as I said. I actually wanted to point out that of our 13 currently active working groups, 8 of them had a co-chair at the time of submission who was an early career scientist. So that means that an ECOP was actively involved in scoping the idea and building the team. And so it's definitely possible to be, involved in one of these earlier in your career. And additionally, as I said, as part of their capacity building plans, they often support specifically even the early career members of the working group might have kind of specified mentorship relationship within the working group, just so that their time on the working group is actually best utilized to advance their career and network. Other initiatives working groups do might include mentorship programs for the broader community. They might put on trainings or workshops that are open to the community. It varies depending on the topic. So applications for working groups are due every year around May, maybe April, depending on the timing of the selection process that year. This year, applications are due on the 16th of May. So turning towards SCOR's specific capacity development programs, the objective of SCOR having a capacity development program component is to build competencies, expand networks, and ultimately to increase the inclusion of the number of individual scientists as well as nations that are involved in international science and in SCOR's activities specifically. So I'll describe our specific programs, and then I also wanted to note that we do promote inclusion of early career and developing country scientists within our scientific activities. And in fact, some of our larger projects put on summer schools themselves, including GeoTraces, SOLIS, IMBER, and IOCCP. So one program is our Visiting Scholar program. This is open to any scientist who can demonstrate sufficient experience in their teaching and research that to show they have qualifications to visit a host institute in a developing country to conduct a short course, a mentorship, or other form of maybe a workshop, other form of training. So SCOR provides $2,500 for the travel expenses to spend at least 2 weeks at a developing country institution. And it's where possible, it's a partnership between SCOR and the host. If the host can offer lodging support, then that makes SCOR's contribution go much further. So this is a training activity, but the ultimate goal of it is to promote the development of new partnerships in research. And then Lika talked about the POGO SCOR Fellowship Program. It's sort of like the flip side of a visiting scholar program, where the trainee, the early to mid-career scientist, is the one that visits the host institution for 1 to 3 month traineeship programs. And then ideally also the trainee will disseminate their skills back at their home institution. But Lika went into detail about this, and as she said, the application deadline for this one is coming up, but it's never too early to start looking at about applying next year as well. SCOR also supports a travel grant program, which offers awards to meeting organizers to support the attendance of early career developing country scientists at ocean-related meetings. So it is not open to individuals to apply. However, we do receive applications from ECOPs who are on the organizing committee of various meetings. And so again, the ultimate goal is to help individual scientists build their network, increase their capabilities of joining kind of the international field of science. So we review these applications 4 times a year. You just need to submit far enough in advance to meet an early enough review deadline. And yeah. We recently reviewed the outcomes of the travel grant program for the recent issue of Oceanography on capacity sharing. The QR code for our article is right there. So the program was established in 1984, but since we started keeping digital records in 1999, the program has supported about 1,300 developing country scientists from 83 countries to attend 280 ocean science related meetings and trainings in 45 host countries. So that's a lot of exchanges that have been promoted as part of this program. And our last program is that SCOR oversees what is termed a regional graduate network in oceanography at the University of Namibia. The concept of a RGNO was developed at a meeting organized by SCOR on graduate education in oceanography in developing countries as a means to understand global environmental problems. So this RGNO in Namibia is sponsored by the Simons and Agaron Foundations and is focused on the biogeochemical oceanography in the Benguela upwelling system. And so the purpose of it is to bring lecturers and students from around the world together to develop their skills in lab work and includes field experience on a research vessel. And each student is involved in a research project as part of the program, which results in an open symposium and seminar. So the course had been delayed in recent years due to COVID and then due to the condition of the research vessel, but they will announce the next time it is going to be held. So just to summarize what these opportunities are, and Kai will share his experience becoming involved in these opportunities in the next presentation. But, the opportunities range from proposing a new working group, applying to the capacity development programs that I just described, engaging with SCOR's projects and working groups, and there's a variety of ways to do it. First, if there's one that you're interested in, because they cover a wide range of topics, is join their email list, because that's how you'll learn about when they are putting on webinars, when they're putting on workshops or open science meetings that you can join. There is the ability to apply to be on scientific steering committees or maybe subcommittees, including those early career scientist committees. But, I acknowledge that that's a limited membership. And so I just want to point out that's not the only way to be involved. Several of the projects also have national networks, because as I said, underlying our projects is the research being conducted at the national level. So a lot of countries will actually self-organize to inform their contributions to the international project. There's our early career member position on the executive committee, which Kai will talk about next. We have our national committees, and it varies from country to country how you can be involved, but some have newsletters, so it's worth looking into if there's any way to engage. And then even reviewing working group proposals. We invite reviews from anyone, although mostly it's our national committees who provide such reviews. But it would be worth even just looking at what a proposal looks like if it's something you're interested in. So across all those activities in 2024, we actually had almost 7 people involved in SCOR in some way. So that would be across the 10 projects, the 13 working groups, visiting scholars, POGO SCOR fellows, members of national committees, members of our executive and capacity development committee. And this doesn't even include the broader network, such as the national networks or early career scientist committees. So it really is broad. There are a variety of ways to be, participate, and it might take time to find the right fit for the right project or the right way to get accepted to be engaged, but the opportunity is there. So I should wrap up because I'm going a little over. So I just wanted to note that quite a few of SCOR's activities have been endorsed by the UN Decade in various ways, whether it's contributing to a broader program or endorsement of individual activities. And so everything I mentioned today you can find via our website, via your favorite social media platform, by subscribing to our newsletter. You will hear directly about SCOR's announcements about capacity development or working group proposals, as well as amplification of the news from our various projects and working groups. So with that, yes, please visit the website, click around, you'll find everything there. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Emily, for your presentation on SCOR and how ECOPs have been involved and can be involved in the future. My colleague Natalia will see if we have any questions in the Q&A chat box. And to the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A box. Or if any come up later at the end of the webinar, we will still hold a Q&A session.
There are 2 questions. So it says, Indonesia listed as member of POGO, but not become a member of SCOR. Can this country still join 2025 POGO SCOR Fellowship Program?
Yeah, Lika raised her hand, so go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so these are different things, Abdullah. So members of POGO are organizations. So we do have one institution in Indonesia who is a member of POGO. But applications for our capacity development programs are from individuals. They do not necessarily need to be affiliated to them. You can be enrolled in, you can be in any organization and apply to POGO SCOR program. Yeah, I think I can, I think this answers your question. But please note that there are some requirements for you to prepare your application, including contact a potential host supervisor, get a letter from them to include on your application. So yeah, check the website. And like Emily says, it's never too early for you to prepare everything for next year's call.
That's true. There is another question over here in the chat. It says how to fill in living expenses accommodation for countries not listed in the guidelines, such as Oman or other Middle Eastern countries, in the application for POGO SCOR's fellowship program.
So usually use the Numbeo website, which gives a certain cost of living in countries. Nasli, send me an email and I help you with this.
Okay, and there are two more questions in the Q&A. One says, do you also fund ECOP from developing countries to training, but are pursuing higher studies in a developed country?
Yeah, from SCOR's perspective, we have to define it some way. So we define the developing country as where you are currently located. So if you're currently located at an institution in a developed country, then you would not currently be eligible in cases where that is the requirement of the eligibility.
And we have one question. It says, I have a question about how to apply POGO local training at applicant home countries and what are the requirements? From Fahima.
So in the case of the POGO regional trainings, so these are not like regular annual programs like the POGO SCOR and the Center of Excellence. So when they are being organized, the call for applications is circulated. And then on each training announcement, you have the requirements necessary to apply.
Thank you so much. And there is a last question. It says, Emily, what advice do you have for ECOPs seeking to expand their network to increase opportunities for international research partnerships or participate in the development of a SCOR working group?
Yeah, it's an incremental process, I think. SCOR definitely sees the value in attending international meetings where, I mean, not just a meeting in another country, but a meeting that is meant to be international. But not only that, I mean, it's important not to just show up to these meetings, but that these meetings have actual mentorship components. Either you find a mentor to help you, guide you, introduce you to people, or make sure to participate in whatever early career scientist event is going on at that, because we have found that significantly increases the value that people get out of those meetings. So yeah, that's definitely a start. Definitely take advantage of the senior scientists that but yeah, I understand that you can't just jump in to applying for a working group if you don't already have that network to fulfill the requirement of having a broadly distributed working group. So yeah, definitely incrementally building that network and truly seeing it as a mentorship need.
But this is the start for everything. This is the beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for our audience for all the participation. We can go to the next speaker.
Yeah, just to mention, I see that Lika, she put in a chat a link to a website that can help you to have an idea of cost of living in cities. So that might be of help for anyone. Our next speaker and last speaker of the webinar today will be Kai Deng. And Kai is an associate professor at the State Key Laboratory of Marine Geology at Dongji University in Shanghai. His background is in marine geology and geochemistry, and his research explores continental erosion and weathering, oceanic trace metal cycling, and the environmental factors that drive these processes. He uses various geochemical tools such as cosmogenic beryllium-10, elemental ratios, numerical models, and he authored over 20 peer-reviewed publications. Currently, Kai is a co-opted member of the SCOR Executive Committee. Now, just before going over to the presentation, we may launch a small poll to gain a bit of insight in the audience's background. So Natalia, if you could share the poll, that would be wonderful. In the meantime, I will also share in the chat a link to a survey that SCOR specially prepared for ECOPs. So to the audience, if you have the time to fill in this survey, that would be wonderful. I'm now sending the link in the chat. And then we'll give a bit of time for the audience to respond to the poll questions.
Sorry, Anna, I see a question from Stefiana Jipanin on the chat, asking if they can still apply for SCOR 2025 fellowship if this is the POGO SCOR fellowship. Actually, this person is asking if they have already received a fellowship before from POGO SCOR, if they can still apply again for this year's program. And the answer is yes, but be aware that you're not going to be prioritized, because the idea of the program is to expand opportunities as much as we can, but it doesn't exclude.
Okay, thank you.
So we
We will
have,
just
yeah, 30 seconds left. And 44 persons have responded the poll. Okay. So now for the first question, it says, have you heard of SCOR? 35% said, I've heard a little and I would like to learn more about it. And 44% said yes. Then we have, are you currently involved or have you previously been involved in any SCOR activities or projects? 91% said no. So again, we have the opportunity to know how to get involved in this. What best described your background or interest area? 96% said scientific research. Well, thank you so much for participating on this poll.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. And then we can move over to our last speaker, Kai. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Could you see the screen?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the screen fine?
There is a small bar on the right side of the presentation, on the
Yeah, I think that's something.
on the bottom.
Oh,
It's on the bottom. That's
no?
It's a bit lower, like in the right corner of your presentation, we see a rectangle. I'm not sure how it looks for you.
No?
It's
that
like
better?
it's the chat or or the. Can you minimize the presenters' boxes with our cameras? Make it.
But does that affect anything then?
Now we have a big gray box.
Then I will stop sharing at first and then see if I can remove that in 1 minute or so.
That sounds good. In the meantime, I will remind everyone again that I shared the survey prepared by SCOR in the chat box, and that if you have any questions, you can still put them in the Q&A chat box and we will go over them later. Now the box at the bottom is still there and up a bit.
Yeah, I also see the box in the sharing part, but there is nothing there on my screen.
Well, will it be over any important content? Because if not, maybe it can be fine.
In general, that should not affect anything, but
Or perhaps you can.
I will try one last time to see if the
Uh-huh.
gray box may go away.
Yes, or perhaps disconnect the second screen. Maybe that could work.
Yeah, but here I only have one screen, so I'm not quite
Ah,
sure how that work.
okay.
Well, one last time. Still there.
Mhm.
Oh, now the one at the top is gone, so it's smaller.
It's when you move the mouse that it appears. So I guess if you,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I think we can go with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I will just continue, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, everyone. I will start to introduce my presentation today. So, yeah, I guess according to the poll, we've already known that most of you have already known about SCOR, but perhaps not so many of them attended any activities organized by SCOR. And hopefully, after this presentation, you may get a sense about how the ECS members can join SCOR activities. So I'm Kai. I'm currently working at State Key Lab of Marine Geology in China at Tongji University. And I'm also serving as the Early Career Scientist member on the SCOR Executive Committee. So in addition to Emily's overview presentation to SCOR, I will introduce the specific role of the ECS member on the SCOR EC to our ECOPs. And our objective is to stimulate the interest of ECOPs in SCOR and in its activities. So this presentation will include 4 parts: self-introduction about myself, and also how I came to know about SCOR, and the contributions by previous and current SCOR ECS members, and lastly, the long-term vision for the SCOR ECS member. So the first part is a self-introduction. I am also an early career scientist. I got a bachelor degree in geology and then got the PhD degree at Tongji University in marine science. Later on, I secured the ETH postdoctoral fellowship and worked at ETH Zurich in Switzerland. My research there was about oceanic cycling of trace metals, so related to oceanography. And afterwards, I worked at German Research Center for Geoscience, supported by Humboldt Fellowship. Currently, I am an associate professor at Tongji University. In our department, we have the Chinese Project Office of the International Ocean Discovery Program, the National Seafloor Observatory Network, the Tongji Research Vessel, and several mass spectrometers for chemical analysis. So regarding my research focus, it lies in continental erosion and weathering on one hand, and oceanic cycling of trace metals on the other. The first part is to quantify the response of erosion and weathering processes to climatic factors. And the second part, which is also my current focus, is to understand the relationship between chemical proxies in seawater and continental input. Specifically, following the source-to-sink transport pathway of weathering products, I have worked on 3 subjects in detail, including erosion process in the mountain belts, the continental weathering mechanisms, and the oceanic cycling of trace metals. So the second part is how I came to know about SCOR as an ECS. SCOR has several large-scale research projects, such as GeoTraces, IMBER, IQOE, SOLAS, and ILOE2. One research focus of mine is about the trace metal cycling in the oceans, and aligns well with the GeoTraces objective. GeoTraces specifically is about an international study of the marine biogeochemical cycles of trace elements and their isotopes. Hence, I have been following GeoTraces updates on research and related news for years. And in particular, I acted as the primary session convener for GeoTraces related sessions at the Goldschmidt conference for 2 years. The topics are transport and transformations of trace metals from estuaries to open oceans, and marine trace metal cycling from the estuaries to the open ocean. Hence, when GeoTraces advertised this ECS petition on the SCOR Executive Committee, I was very excited and submitted the application without hesitation. So, what's the specific application process for this SCOR ECS petition? At first, I would like to explain why I would like to join SCOR. So there are at least 3 reasons for this. First, SCOR is a major international organization to support advanced oceanic research. Hence, by joining SCOR, I can get the chance to contribute to the Oceanic Science Committee. Besides, by holding a petition on the SCOR Executive Committee, it helps to foster the communications and cooperations with other renowned scientists internationally. Thirdly, the center of the SCOR lies in advanced research. Hence, as an ECS member in SCOR, I can learn plenty of advanced oceanographic knowledge. And in case other ECOPs are interested in applying this petition in the future, here I list the major requirements. First, the candidate should be no more than 10 years after their PhD degree, which was also explained by Emily's presentation. Second, the candidate should be affiliated to an ocean science organization, institution, or government agency. Additionally, in the application, the candidate should demonstrate his or her previous experience in international science activities and also SCOR activities, and state why he or she is interested in participating on SCOR Executive Committee. Regarding the specific procedure, the candidate should submit the application form and reference letters at the first stage. And at the second stage, there will be an interview by the SCOR Executive Committee members. So for the third part, I would like to provide some details about the contributions by the SCOR ECS members. In addition to some regular administrative tasks, the ECS member also needs to complete other specific tasks. The first person holding this ECS position in SCOR was Lilian between 2018 and 2020. She set up a survey for SCOR early career scientists, and the aim is to gather information to facilitate the establishment of a network of networks. Here, I present part of the survey results. In general, for the early career members who participated in this survey, they mainly focused on ocean basins such as Southern Ocean and the North Atlantic Ocean. Besides, they mainly got involved in SCOR activities such as working groups and large-scale projects. Regarding the benefits that they could get from SCOR, many of them voted that they could get involved in international scientific activities, and they can work together with senior and expert scientists in their field. And thirdly, they can also meet other ECS for more communications and perhaps future collaborations. So I think this survey could provide a starting point for you all to think how you can join the SCOR activities. If you are not aware of the SCOR and would like to consider the option to join, you can search for a working group or a large-scale research project in the SCOR website that fits with your field, and then follow the updates of their activities. Most large-scale research projects or all projects normally have their own websites and provide regular updates. Perhaps you may even know someone in the given working group or large-scale project. In particular, they may provide summer schools or organize a small conference or organize sessions in a major academic conference, and you may have the chance to join it. So the second ECS member in SCOR is Charlotte. She further organized an ECOP specific session in Busan, and the aim is to develop better capacity for ECOPs. This is a joint symposium organized by SCOR, PICS, and KIOST, and held during the SCOR annual meeting. Many people joined this session and delivered presentations regarding cutting-edge research, SCOR-affiliated large-scale research project about an ECOPs and community building. and this was the schedule presented on the website. And the third ECOP member is Wei. He conducted several specific tasks. Importantly, he helped in establishing the SCOR Malaysia National Committee. And besides, he contributed to refining the SCOR survey, which you may have seen. Besides, he also strengthened the ties between SCOR and the ECOP program and served as a liaison in a SCOR working group. And the fourth and also the current ECS member on SCOR Executive Committee is myself. I have held this position for around half a year. Specifically, I co-convened the doctoral forum of the Future Oceans 3 meeting organized by IMBER. This will be held in May. Besides, I also co-convene a session related to geotraces in the Goldschmidt conference held in this July. If any of you will come to these two conferences, you are welcome to join these two sessions. Additionally, I serve as a liaison in SCOR Working Group 167, LOST-IT, which means to reduce the uncertainty in soluble aerosol trace element deposition. Lastly, I also aim to develop a long-term plan for the SCOR ECS law, but this is still in progress. And for the first part of this presentation, I just briefly introduced the long-term vision for the SCOR ECS member. This is only a preliminary outline and subject to revision. In general, the workload of the ECS member should include at least 4 parts. First, organizing lectures for local students at annual meetings. Second, enhance the network within the SCOR ECS communities. And third, enhance the network among other communities. And also develop a mentoring program for ECS members during each annual meeting. And this is one of the ways that you all can contribute to prioritize our role in the SCOR related work. If you have time, you could scan this QR code and fill out this survey. This is about to let us know about our reach as the SCOR organization and how SCOR can better serve the ECOP community. So specifically, here I provide some preliminary thoughts on the 2 parts of the workload. First, the ECS member could organize on-site lectures to students at local institutes during annual meetings. As nationally renowned scientists will come to the annual meeting, it may be worth inviting few of them to give general lectures to local students, which is a very effective way to promote ocean science. This has been done by international SCOR and SCOR national committees, and will also be considered in the next annual meeting held in Colombia. This will help with stimulating the students' interest, and they may want to participate in SCOR activities in the future. Second, it will be worthwhile to enhance networking among ECS committees under the framework of SCOR. Such ECS committees exist in most research projects, such as geotraces and IMBER, as also explained in Emily's presentation, and also in countries such as all those marked here, and including such as countries like China. A stronger connection between these ECS communities can foster future collaborations and may result in establishing a cross-country working group and perhaps large-scale research projects in the future. Overall, as Emily also stated, SCOR puts a strong emphasis on early career scientists, and there will be lots of activities in SCOR that you could all find a way to join and contribute, such as capacity building opportunities, joining a working group, attending meetings organized by SCOR affiliated projects, and so on. All in all, look forward to your contributions, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you guys so much for your presentation. Let's see if we have any questions for you. Natalia, can you Can you see if we
We have one question from Domonkos Salo. It says, is a PhD a requirement to participate in a SCOR working group, or at least very highly advised? Asking as a research master graduate.
Yeah, I can answer that one. We don't have any explicit degree requirements for any program. For the working the working group proposal application will need to include 5 publications for each full member. So there needs to be a demonstrated research history and experience in the topic area, but it's not an explicit degree requirement.
Okay. And this is just the question this is just the question that we had in the Q&A. So perhaps we can go to the open mic.
Yeah, since we have about 15 minutes left, as Natalia mentioned, we can now have an open mic. So anyone from the audience who wants to ask a question or share some insights, share an experience, you can raise your hand, put on your mic, or put something in the chat if you're a little bit shy to speak. But feel free to interact with our speakers.
Let's see how it goes. There is one question that was for Laika. How to fill in living expenses accommodation for countries not listed in the guidelines, such as Oman, or I think we already answered that, right? I'm sorry. So there's no questions, no comments.
This is a great opportunity to interact with Emily, Kai, or Lika, so please don't be shy. Feel free to say something or ask a question.
I do have a question for Kai. How has been your experience so far being part of the SCOR?
Oh, you're still muted, Kai?
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, first, for sure, it's a very fantastic experience, and I'm still experiencing it. I mean, it just has been half a year till now. I mean, till I hold this position. I realize that SCOR has, I mean, it's a major international organization. I mean, regarding advancing the oceanic research. So there are lots of activities related to it. For example, as I also explained in the presentation, I helped in organizing a session for 2 SCOR affiliated projects like IMBER and GeoTraces, and also in the during the annual meetings, I also attended last annual meeting, and I listened to all those fantastic presentations by those national committees and also large scale research projects, and learned quite a lot of knowledge. Some of them about how people advance each field. I mean, as a large group of pioneering scientists. And also, I think there will be many things going on in the near future because, like in the next annual meeting that we'll be holding in Colombia, I think we are also trying to organize some ECOP related activities. But I mean, that will require further discussion within the SCOR EC committee. And if people are from South America and would like to join the annual meeting, I think that's very well welcome. That will be held in Colombia in the second half of this year, November, something like that. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great opportunity for people in Latin America and specifically South America to join this meeting.
Indeed.
Laika, do you have any comments?
Yes, I noticed that we is online as well, and so he was the previous representative of ECOP in the scientific committee, right? Maybe we could ask him the same question, and after he left the position, how did it impact his current career?
For sure. There you go.
Hi, I didn't expect to answer any questions. By the way, I'm from Malaysia. as Lika mentioned, that I was the previous sort of predecessor for the Kai position. And to answer that, just make it short, it's actually opened up my mind. I've heard of SCOR during my PhD when I did my PhD in Tasmania. So I participated in several cruises in the Southern Ocean. So there are many programs and projects related or even affiliated with working group sort of run by SCOR. But when you went into the SCOR Executive Committee, it's a different scenario totally, because you're not really on the research, but it's a lot of management part and something that as a scientist, we don't really get to have that kind of experience. And that's during one of the annual meeting, I have a discussion with a former executive member. I don't want to name who, but he sort of jokingly describes SCOR as the Oceanic Mafia. So for joking aside, if you pay attention to it from now on, for all the participants, if you look carefully, a lot of program, projects, reports, you'll find SCOR logo somewhere, I'm sure. You'll see SCOR, like even with POGO, you once you connect that to one, then at the end, you know that SCOR is actually the big boss behind it. Yeah, so yeah, I really enjoy my experience attending the meetings, become the liaison for the working groups. And it's a wonderful experience. Yeah, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. There are questions right now popping up. So it says, Himupol Sosu from Benin, West Africa. How can I do a working group member? How can I become a working group member of a SCOR?
Yeah, so since they're short duration, you don't join an active one. If it's an active one that you're interested in, you can look into what sort of public contact they have, because a lot of them do. They have webinars, they have mailing lists, some have mentorship programs. So there are mechanisms to be involved without being a member of the working group itself. To be part of an application process itself, if you're not contacted by the people who are chairs, it's kind of having an idea, having people you've met with a, similar content topic around the world, and just start developing the idea. So you would, in that case, be taking the lead on developing it. And I strongly encourage that people actually contact me when they do have an idea and a team already, flesh it out a little bit, know that there's real potential there to bring it together, and then contact me just to kind of give a sense of if it's headed in the right direction. But yeah, you could either initiate one, or you can just see what sort of public involvement the current working groups are offering.
Perfect. We have another question from Bruna de Ramos. Nice talks, amazing. General questions. What are the key points for a winning application, either POGO or SCOR programs? That's a tricky question.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of a summary way of answering it.
Yeah.
I mean,
she should.
yeah.
No, please, Emily, go ahead.
I mean, a well thought out plan, it is the difference between good and bad application, not bad, but the ones that rise up the highest show that thought has been put into the plan. Specifically, I will do, if it's a visiting scholar application that how each day will be used when you apply, that it's for the POGO SCOR fellowship program, people being specific about what they are going to do when they return to their home institution. I will put on a webinar, I will have a lunch series or whatever, instead of kind of vague promises about following through.
Yeah, that's true. And for the background of the candidate, I mean, Bruna should know because she was a successful application. She is a Center of Excellence past scholar. But I also like to see on the background of the candidate that they have engaged. So it's not only about, attending your regular lectures in your undergrad and graduate schools, but you did some internship in a laboratory, or you participated in activities beyond, engaging in networks such as the ECOP or science clubs. You were attending conferences, in any possible way, even online trainings, things that show that you are really looking for expanding your skills.
Yeah.
This is something that highlights, from my perspective.
Yeah, everything counts. Everything counts. Even though you think it's a small thing, everything counts at the end. That's definitely something that you have to take into consideration when you're applying to any fellowship, scholarship, or whatever that you would like to do to expand your career. There is one question over here. Well, it's more or less a comment of the question. It says, I have noticed from the map shown that Africa has very limited presentation in the SCOR community. So as an NGO, is it possible to cooperate with governmental research institutions? And if it's possible, what should be the process to be part of SCOR activities and securing research or educational opportunities for young scientists?
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of different questions in there, but yeah, I mean, first, what I stated before is that nothing stops an individual scientist from any country from applying or trying to be involved in any SCOR activity. The absence of a national committee does not stop anything. There are great benefits to countries having national committees in terms of increasing participation of their scientists, but an individual scientist doesn't need to be worried about that. They can apply to any activity. I also want to emphasize again that SCOR is non-governmental, even in cases where government scientists are participating. It's not in a governmental capacity, or it's not a multilateral negotiation situation. So yeah, we already are non-governmental, but we do have relationships with, either through our national committees or at the kind of IOC UNESCO level, relationships with governmental organizations, which could help kind of with visibility. But in general, what SCOR is doing is promoting the scientific community itself in building its network.
Okay. There is another question over here. It says, I'm an oceanographer for a private company. Can I had still chance to become a fellowship for POGO SCOR program, or even got a chance funded PhD program maybe?
So for the PhD program, we can't answer that. I suppose you can. But for particularly the POGO SCOR program, you can apply. So the requirement in terms of eligibility is you can either be an early career scientist or a technician. So in your case, I think you would fit on a technician position. But you have to be from a developing country, and you have to be currently working in a developing country. For this specific training, we are not accepting applications for developing country citizens who are currently enrolled in a postgraduate program or currently living in a developed country.
Okay. Another question over here from Mariana. It says, Mariana, sorry. I would like to join ECOP, and I have already participated in the ECOP video campaign available on YouTube. I would like to be involved in some actions or share my knowledge by joining it. However, I'm not in my home country. I'm a Malaysian student based in La Reunion. If I join ECOP, what extent can I participate knowing that there is no ECOP in my region yet? I think that's a question for us.
Yeah.
In this case, you can write us an email specifically, or contact us. I will share with you the email afterwards, so you can contact us and go through all the questions and everything that you would like to, how you like to be involved in ECOPs, because we have different task teams. In this case, Anna and myself, we are from the training and mentoring task team. So it depends on your on where would you like to extend your capabilities and also your availabilities. So contact us, and we're definitely going to see how you can suit in a task team or anything that you would like to participate. Thank you very much.
And just to add to this, on the ECOP website, you can find all the task teams. So you can already have a look and see like what sort of things you're interested in and fit with your background. So that might help to give you an idea. Yeah. I also see that Lilian is raising her hand.
So sorry, I see that we are running out of time, but there was an unanswered question in the chat earlier that I think it's of interest of everybody. So Mohan Kumar Das asked if there will be any ECOP activities at the Ocean Conference in Nice, and if yes, how we can join. I'm also curious for the answer.
Yes, there will be. We are going to have like a virtual ECOP days. I don't remember right now the dates that we're going to be addressing these virtual meetings, but you can join from whatever part of the world you can join. We will be announcing that in our platforms, mainly in LinkedIn and I think in Instagram is where we are showing all the activities that we're currently doing. So please feel free to reach also these platforms. I will share also where you can find us in the social media here in the chat. So yeah, we're going to have this one, and I don't remember if we're going to have side events on site, but definitely we're going to have virtual ECOP days. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I think those were all the questions for today. So I would like to thank our speakers for today, Lika, Emily, and Kai, and also the audience for your interest and for your interactions today. That was very nice. So thank you, and stay tuned for next episodes. Our next webinar will be next Wednesday, the 30th of April, sorry. And this one will be about data management organized by the Dutch National Node of ECOP. Yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, for your attention, and thank you, speakers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Everyone, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,